Hello everybody, welcome to the Steelfist podcast. I apologize for being super late on this one, but I do just want to get something out quickly. I just didn't have the posters with the first and last name, so I wasn't able to figure out who exactly was fighting, and the Tapology pages never got updated. Plus, just being busy with life, I should have probably asked for that information earlier than I did, but anyways, here we are. So we're just going to go over the card pretty briefly, starting with our first fight of the night. We have Aaron Top from the dojo coming in against Mike Padilla out of One Hit MMA. Both of these guys making their debut. Both of these guys are 205 light heavyweights, but they're coming from solid gyms. The dojo and One Hit, good. Both of them have solid striking. The dojo follows more of a Bang Muay Thai system, and One Hit, a lot of their high-level strikers, I really love to watch them fight. They're just fluid and on balance and always looks good. So excited to see how these guys are going to come out for their debut. For our next kickboxing match, we have Logan Shell coming out of Empower, coming in against Jorge Freddy. We've seen him a few times in MMA. Hasn't gone his way quite yet, but now he's just transitioning over to a kickboxing match. Logan Shell from Empower, we don't know anything about him. I've actually trained with him a little bit, sparred with him a few rounds. Super exciting fighter. This is going to be another exciting matchup for these guys. Moving on real quickly, we have Richard Mebius coming in against Sean Wood. Richard out of the dojo and Sean Wood out of One Hit. So just like our first fight, One Hit versus the dojo. Super solid striking for both of these gyms, and hopefully these guys are able to just represent pretty well. And both of these guys making their debut. Okay, then we are moving on to Muay Thai. We have Jacob Baird coming up to 145 pounds to take on Andy Garcia. Jacob Baird, I talk about him a lot. I really like to watch him fight. Coming off of a loss in his last match, and Andy Garcia coming out of Team Shields Muay Thai. I am not familiar with those guys. He's making his debut, so we don't really have very much information about him. Next match, we have Mitch Thompson coming against Marcus Hackford. Mitch Thompson out of Unified Krav Maga and Marcus Hackford out of Brute Force MMA. Both of these guys we saw compete back in January. Mitch Thompson taking on Josue Cedino out of Fight City. That was a really fun match to watch for heavyweights. Some pretty good striking for these guys, for both of them. And Marcus Hackford took on Mark Gonzalez, who's actually fighting later on the card as well. Both of these guys were finding a lot of success using their range, using their jab, and so they're both really tall, 6'1 and 6'2. So now it'll be interesting to see, without the big reach differential that they had on their previous opponents, how well they're able to use their jab and use the tools that they were using in their last bouts to be able to get the win. Moving on to our MMA bouts, we have Brian Reed, who's independent, coming in against Mike Tasker from West Side Jiu-Jitsu and Boxing. West Side Jiu-Jitsu and Boxing, I'm a little bit familiar with them. I know a couple of their fighters. Brian Reed, I don't know much about him. Looking into these guys' background, it seems like they've been pretty inactive for the past few years, and they're both getting back into it. Brian Reed, I believe his last match was back in 2019, and Mike Tasker back in 2021. Both of these guys coming off of long layoffs. Brian Reed from back in 2019 and Mike Tasker back from 2021. Coming back into the cage and heavyweight MMA, so keep an eye out for this one. Moving on to our next match, we have Noah Hamilton coming in against Tyler Stokes. So Noah Hamilton out of the pit, SLC. I have trained with him quite a bit. The guy is insanely strong, very talented, and super skilled. Excited to see him be making his debut here. He had an opponent change up from Julian Plaza, which was a matchup I was very excited for, to Tyler Stokes out of Wyoming MMA and Nomad Jiu-Jitsu. I think they're just right up there in Evanston. I don't really know much about Tyler Stokes. I don't know much about Wyoming MMA and Nomad. I do know a bunch of their people and I'm friends with them. I just can't really speak for what we're going to be expecting. Seeing how his poster, I believe, says Nomad Jiu-Jitsu, I expect him to be wanting to get it to the ground a lot more. He's got a tough task in front of him with Noah Hamilton, the athleticism that guy is going to bring to this match, and I hope Tyler Stokes is able to match it. Tyler Stokes has a little bit of the reach advantage here, a little bit of the length, so if he's able to use his length to his jiu-jitsu, it'll be really cool to see how this is going to go down. Moving on, we have Nick Perry, also out of the pit, coming in against Alex Godoy out of UCTC. Nick Perry, newer at the pit. I've trained with him a little bit, not too much, and he's learning really fast. He's picking up the sport pretty well. Alex Godoy out of UCTC, I believe I trained with him one time. I don't really know what to expect from him personally, but the boxing and striking at a UCTC is phenomenal. Kawhi Thompson, who's our main event, that's his home gym, and you can expect that he's getting lots of work in with these guys and helping them get ready for their matches, as well as they're helping him. Alex and Kawhi, who is the co-main, are both in the same weight class, so I'm expecting they work fairly close together. Next, we have Maxwell Krager out of FTR and James Prescott out of One Hit MMA. Max, I was able to train with him this past Saturday. He works with Randy Burton, who he's been out of the scene for a while, Randy Burton, but he trains, but he used to be the featherweight champion many years ago. He's also just an athletic specimen, super good coach, an awesome guy, and fantastic striker. I'm not going to say much about what I know of Max's background because that information is not public at this time, but I'm excited to see how he's going to show up. James Prescott, One Hit MMA. Always you can expect well-rounded fighters who are ready to put up a good fight. This matchup, both of these guys debuting, both of them 6'1". This seems to be a pretty good matchup for another debut. And finally, we crawl out of our debuters. We have a ton of debuters on this card. Moving into some people with a bit more fights on their belt, we have Chao Wang coming in against Justin Villalpando. Chao Wang recently joined Empower. His last fight, he was able to finish it really quickly with some devastating leg kicks. The guy is super powerful, he's super strong. This fight is taking place at 200 pounds because Justin is stepping in at short notice for him. Justin, just a tough guy, super tough guy, tons of fights. My biggest issue, and I have brought this up with him when I was able to talk with him before, is it's really hard to be an independent fighter. You can't have much success if you're going up against guys who are training consistently with high-level guys if you're training just by yourself and you don't really have much. I'm hoping Justin comes out here and surprises us with some new improvements in his game, but we do know for a fact that Chao Wang, working with Empower, is making constant improvements. Okay, we're moving on. We have Jesus Lopez in a rematch against Mark Gonzalez. Jesus Lopez out of Fighters Chance Boxing and Mark Gonzalez out of One Hit MMA. A rematch for a fight that happened back in 2022 where Mark Gonzalez was able to get the win. Mark is back at heavyweight, I believe. I could be remembering this wrong, but I think he was saying that he wants to be done with heavyweight. He wants to go down in weight because of some conditioning issues. I'm hoping we see him having addressed those conditioning issues coming into this matchup. Jesus Lopez desperately needs a win here. Hope to see him be able to pull it off, or at least put in a good fight and show the improvements that he's made. Moving on to our co-main event, we have Michael Janiandor coming in against Kawhi Thompson. Mike, I'm sorry if I said your name wrong. I don't know how to pronounce that, and I always forget to ask you whenever I see you. But Mike out of the pit, Kawhi Thompson out of UCTC. Kawhi Thompson has been a big inspiration for me lately with just changing some things in my camp because of how good he has gotten recently with just kind of having his focus be on himself, keeping his team small and just constantly improving with solid coaches. Every single time we've seen him out, he's been doing better and better. He's an awesome guy, awesome fighter. And Mike Jamie out of the pit, he was one of my more consistent training partners when I was over there a lot. He's also just fantastic, very skilled, and learns really fast. Both of these guys are super high level. This is going to be a good fight for both of them to come out and show what improvements they've made, and hopefully for Kawhi to be able to show a bit more of Mike's game, because we haven't seen very much of Mike. Man, Mike, just kind of expecting him to come out what he does. He'll sit there and strike with you for a little bit, but I'm pretty sure every single one of his fights have been over from the other guy shooting and Mike capitalizing on a takedown off of him. But that is for Kawhi and his team to work out. Moving on, we have our main event, Hayden Brown coming in against Jesse Salmon. Hayden Brown out of Assassin Muay Thai and training with Team Link, and Jesse Salmon out of Raven MMA down in Hurricane, Utah. Hayden Brown coming off of a pretty long layoff up against Jesse Salmon, who has been a little bit more active recently, but also coming off of a long layoff. Hayden Brown is 1-1 with it in his professional career, but he has a very extensive amateur career. Jesse Salmon's been taking on some very tough matchups, going up to heavyweight to fight Eric Iman, who is just an absolute monster. I believe they call him like the silverback or something because of how big he is. And then coming in against short notice against Chris Chu. And now he's coming in against a fight that he's been consistently training for. I know this one has been booked out for a while, a matchup that, isn't short notice for him because his fight with Eric Iman was also short notice. So I'm excited to see how he's going to go and turn this match around and see how he's going to perform being able to come in off of a full camp. As for Hayden Brown, training with Team Link and Assassin Muay Thai, I don't know if he's only been with that gym recently or if he's been with them for his entire career. He was going to join me on here, but a bunch of scheduling stuff happened and it's been really tough for both of us. So excited to see how Hayden Brown is going to turn out after a long layoff with his last match taking place in 2019. So that is it. The main and co-main of this card are phenomenal. A whole bunch of debuts. This will be an exciting one to watch out, and I will be in the commentary booth on Saturday, June 8th. So I will see you all in a couple days.